Nice! Took a little while, but we finally get to one of my most favorite NES games of all time. And my second favorite Mega Man before the X series took the top spot. Let's rewind the hands of time way back to 1988. We were all NES freaks, and my small list of NES games played was already becoming quite decent. I've been a lifelong Mega Man fan, and the funny part is, I never played the original growing up. Yeah, go figure. Mega Man 2 falls after Mega Man 3 as my favorite, but let's find out why. Although, it does have the more memorable soundtrack. But I digress. Released in 1988 in Japan, I consider Mega Man 2 to be the start of my Mega Man fandom. Once again, and is usually the case back then, we would just go to the video store and pick something up at random. I mean, you could always look at the back of the box, if you were lucky enough to have a decent rental store that actually had the fucking boxes and not just, the cartridge in those stupid plastic cases. No box, no manual. Bullshit. If not, yeah, it was a gamble. Sometimes you scored, sometimes you lost. Luckily for us, Mega Man 2 turned out to be a total score. And not just for a single weekend, but for the next couple of years at least. And even still to this day. Let's get into it. Taking place after the events of the first game, but still in the generic year of 2000X, finds Dr. Wily up to his old shenanigans again, creating another 8 Robot Masters. Dr. Light again sends Mega Man in to kick some ass. That's about the bulk of the story in this game. Remember, it's the NES days. We were lucky to even have a story at all. Usually it was just mindless button mashing and having fun. You blast off, and like the first game, and many other games in the series to follow, you have the choice about which Robot Masters you face in what order. Of course, each boss has a specific weakness based on a weapon you gain from another boss, so that really makes things totally up to the player. I usually, even now, almost 30 years later, as a lot of other players do too, start with Metal Man, as he's pretty easy, and obviously gives you pretty much the most badass weapon in the game. The Metal Blade. This still does, and will always replace your standard pea shooter in this game, as primarily you utilize it to shoot any enemy in any direction. Yes, years before omnidirectional attacks were common in 2D platformers, Mega Man 2 had the Metal Blade, and all the destruction that followed it. You make your way through each stage, facing off against enemies that are both generic, and also level specific as well, showing elements of said stage. The usual stage elements found in many other NES games of the time appear, such as spikes and pitfalls, sometimes to mucho pissing off. The stages themselves aren't overly long, but I've always found them to be an almost perfect length. Some parts can be a little challenging, but overall, there was nothing crazy. Nothing that a little practice back then wouldn't fix. Not like others in this series that followed afterwards. Fucking Mega Man X2. Looking at you! Upon defeating said Robot Master, you gain their particular weapon, and return to the boss selection screen. Rinse and repeat. After all 8 are defeated, the final mission begins. Dr. Wily's castle is split into 5 separate stages, each with their own mini-boss. Right before the final fight, you must face off against all 8 Robot Masters once again, which I've always found was a novel idea back growing up, but when Capcom continued to do it into the latter half of the X series, I thought it was a little played out. The final battle begins and you kick Wily's ass. He admits defeat and the game comes to an end. The end credits roll, and it shows Mega Man going for a stroll, while the background goes through seasonal changes. Lastly, it shows Mega Man's helmet left on some grassy hill somewhere, signifying what exactly? I've never understood what this ending is supposed to mean, but damn, is the ending music catchy. Speaking of which, you didn't really think I'd review this game and not talk about the soundtrack, did you? It's phenomenal. Literally one of the best soundtracks ever on any NES game. Certainly my personal favorite, even back when I was a kid. From Metal Man to Airman, Flashman, to Quick Man. Almost every tune in this game is pure audio enjoyment. Not to mention, it has the greatest end-stage final boss music ever in a game, in the form of Dr. Wily's Castle Part 1. And let's not forget my single favorite musical track from any NES game ever, Bubble Man Stage. Oh my god. Never mind, it's my favorite song in the game as well. This piece of music, for whatever reason, produces such a powerful and immediate nostalgic response in me from the second it starts till sadly the level is over. Anytime I play this stage, regardless of where I am or what I'm doing with my life, when that music comes on, it's 1989 all over again, and it's just me in the game. There's just something about how the song is composed, the rhythm, and the sounds used that it just all blend together so well. I'll admit, sometimes I just turn the game on and play that stage, just to hear the music. Switching gears to the graphical side of things, they're pretty good as well. This was Mega Man's second outing, and there's a pretty good improvement over the original game. Animations are done nicely, The enemies make sense. The weapons are mostly awesome, and the Robot Masters are classics. There is the usual NES striping, but that's okay, unless you're really picky about stuff like that. Background details and objects are also nicely done, with the majority of enemies relating to their environments. The weapons aren't that detailed, but they didn't really have to be. Everything just fits together. Overall, Mega Man 2 is pretty much my second favorite Mega Man game of all time, and is definitely NES Gold, however you look at it. It was this game that really put Mega Man on the map, and generated the tremendous following the series has today. While it's been included on a few anthology releases over the years, it's never been overhauled or given an HD upgrade. It'd be nice if Capcom decided to make an entire HD remake of the first 6 Mega Man games that appeared on the original NES, and released it for, say, the 30th anniversary, but that's probably just wishful thinking. We can all dream, can't we? Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, go check this classic out.